Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special Viking Warrior Day edition of It Takes a Viking, the official podcast of the Salem State University Alumni Association. Very pleased to welcome to today's show a graduate from the class of 1983 and an honorary degree recipient in 2018, our very own Dr. Kim Gassett-Schiller. Welcome to the show, Kim. How are you?
Thank you very much, Mike. I'm doing great. Thank you.
It is good to have you with us. Very excited to share your story. We're going to talk a little bit about your time at Salem State, what you've been up to since, and now your current role as one of our campaign co-chairs. So we are going to get right into it. The first question we always like to ask every guest, what brought you to Salem State as a student? How did you end up here?
So I'm actually a transfer student to Salem State. Out of high school, I did apply to Salem State and was accepted, but I decided to go to a small private college. And then after a year, I decided that it wasn't the right fit for me. And I reapplied to Salem State and was accepted. And it was a great experience. And I'm glad that I made that decision to transfer to Salem State.
And a story that I think will resonate with a lot of people, right? Myself, I was a transfer student to Salem State as well. Started in the community college world, found myself a home here, and have been in love ever since. So
Yes.
I think your story will resonate with a lot of people for sure. Talk a little bit about your time here. What did you study? And then kind of how did your time as a student here help prepare you for life after college?
So I studied business administration, and that was my choice from the beginning, and I stuck with it. I had a concentration in accounting. I am first generation on both my mother's side and my father's side. So having a college degree certainly provided me with opportunities that that probably weren't available for my parents as well.
Okay. And thinking back to your time here, you graduate 83 when you do. Obviously, the campus has changed pretty significantly over the last several years. What do you think have been some of the transformations that you kind of look at them and you go, holy cow, I can't believe, this happened. For me, it was when I came back for a visit and I realized that the library no longer existed in its previous form, right? So as you consider your time since you graduated, what are some of the transformations that you've been most excited by on campus?
So there have been many great transitions for Salem State. First, for me, is the change from being orange and brown colors to blue and orange colors. And I actually have a little prop here that I'd be happy to share to show the orange and brown and what
Look
it was
at that.
like. It's my cheerleading jacket. So,
Okay.
so that's when we were orange and brown. So that's one, obvious transformation was going from orange and brown to orange and blue. For me, mostly it was the buildings. So business school used to be where South Campus is. There was no central campus at all. It was, and so there was main campus, South Campus, and then certainly the O'Keefe Center. There were just the two dorms, so now we have more dorms. And I think for the transformations for me were more about the buildings themselves. Now we have Central Campus and the Bertillon School of Business. It was just the business school. As well. We're now a university. When I was at Salem State, we were Salem State College. So that's huge. So there's the colors, they're now a university, and also the buildings. What I will say, upon my first visit back to Salem, back in about 2006, then President Meservey encouraged me to come back to campus. And I have to tell you, I was really, really nervous about returning to campus because I didn't know what to expect. I remembered Salem State as it was in 1983. So my first steps on campus, I was walking towards one of the newer buildings. And I was about 10 steps away from the front door, and there was a young man ahead of me. I'm assuming he was a student. And he held the door open for me. As far back as I was from him, he stood there and held that door open for me. And I kind of got that as a welcome back to campus, that the door was open. And then as I started meeting students and hearing their stories and learning more about them, I realized that any of these students could have been my classmates. They could have been my roommates. They could have been my friends. So although the campus had transformed as far as buildings went and adding buildings, and the students and the type of student that Salem State serves didn't change. I'm first generation. I had financial aid. I had 1 to 2 jobs, one on campus, one off campus. So that speaks to a lot about who the students still are today. And to me, that was rewarding to learn that that aspect of the school, though it had transformed as far as buildings and gotten even better, that the students that were being served were like me.
And it's funny that you say that about the student holding the door for you. I remember when President Meserve was retiring, somebody had asked her, what are you going to remember? What's one thing that you'll remember most fondly about your time here? And she said, amidst all the change and growth that we've experienced, she said, people always hold the door here for you when you're walking into something, a student, staff, whomever, they always hold the door for you. And it speaks to just that kind of character of person that is a member of this community, and you are, and I am. And I think for me personally, as we consider this question, a major transformation for me as a student who spent all of his academic time at the O'Keefe Center was, I remember the old gym upstairs, and kind of
and I remember the gym down near the rink.
we could probably call them broom closets with the equivalent of what's there now, and in large part thanks to you. And so, as we kind of transition into more of what's going on now on campus, I think one of the things that I admire most about you, Kim, is that, you've openly shared that you've always stayed connected, and even on your graduation day with your donation of $1 to the institution, and on an annual level since then. So I want to ask, as somebody who stayed that involved and that connected, why do you feel, private support is so important to the university and the work that we do here?
So I think all support is important, whether it's public or private. There's, let me just put my glasses on. I always say that if 10 people give $10, that's $100. If 10 people give nothing, that's nothing. And at Salem State, $100 can certainly make or break an education. And it's important to give in whatever capacity. As you pointed out, my first gift to Salem State was $1. And I also learned during the previous campaign that I had given every year, which I didn't realize. And I know in those years, there are some years where maybe it was $10, maybe it was $50, maybe it was back to $20. But what's important is the consistency in giving, that the school can depend upon one to be giving at no matter what capacity. So that's why I think giving is so important, and consistent giving is most important, just to show that one is still supporting the mission and the students of Salem State, however they're able to give.
And one of the things that is just so phenomenal about you and your support of the institution is that, you've you've supported us in a number of transformational ways. And I'm wondering whether it was, the construction of the new gym, or, the Viking Completion Grant program. Do you have one that you kind of hang your hat on and say, this was my favorite one to make?
Mike, that's such a tough question. I've thought about that over time. And I think each individual, speaking of meet the moment, each individual gift met a moment. And our first gift was actually an endowment in accounting and finance for the Bertillon School of Business. And it was during a time where Salem State was applying for AACSB accreditation. It's an accreditation for business schools, and it's an important accreditation for business schools. So it was at that point, since I was a business major, it was important to me to support the business school, so perhaps others would step up as well for endowed chairs, as well as supporting the school's journey to receive AACSB accreditation. The gift for naming of the fitness center for my parents certainly is personal to me, as it's named after both my parents who have passed, and they were my biggest supporters for me continuing my education and graduating from Salem State. So that was important. That's important to me personally. What I think is important for the school is that there's a space where students can go, faculty, staff can go and exercise, no matter, whether it's a pickup game in the gym of basketball, or if it's, getting on the elliptical for 20 minutes, or maybe doing some stretching, or whatever a student feels they want, that the doors are open there and that it's an opportunity for them to maybe de-stress. I think that was important because, as you pointed out, Mike, that the gym that you had when you were at Salem State was small. Mine was even smaller. So speaking of the Gassett Fitness Center, an interesting event occurred during the 10,000 Reasons campaign. I came across a photo of me on my graduation day in May of 1983. And I showed it to one of the team, and she actually graduated the same day with me. And she looked at the picture and she said, "Kim, that picture's taken on the grounds where the Gassett Fitness Center was built." And I looked at the picture again, and for sure, she was absolutely right that the picture of me with my parents on graduation day was taken right where Gassett Fitness Center is built. So, how crazy is that?
It was during 10,000 Reasons, but talk about a moment, and a full circle moment at that.
Exactly.
Huh?
Exactly.
Wow.
So when the opportunity came to help support the fitness center, I was more than happy to do that. Another gift that we all along, Philip and I would give annually to the school for the annual fund. And part of that annual fund was unrestricted, so the school could choose the best way to use our gift. And then the other portion went to the Center for Academic Excellence. And that's important to me, as when I was an undergrad, one of the jobs I had, I was a tutor at what was then called the Learning Center, which is now the Center for Academic Excellence. And so part of my annual fund would go towards to the Center for Academic Excellence. Well, at the time, Dr. Bryant was director there, and he came to me and said, "How about I take your gift and we set it aside each year until it accumulates to, kind of a small endowment, and then we can use the proceeds from the endowment to provide scholarships for the tutors." And I thought that was just a great idea. So that's another important gift that speaks to me. And then and finally, there's the Viking Completion Grants, which not only benefit the students, but it really benefits the community, because the Viking Completion Grants are for students that are just about to graduate, but just can't come together with all the funds for tuition and costs. And it provides a bridge for those students, because all the students have worked so hard to graduate, and to just come so close and not be able to graduate because of financial financial gaps is just, it's just, it just doesn't feel good. And to provide an opportunity for students to be able to graduate and then give back to the community and, give back to their families. It's so important, because after 4 years to then not have a degree because of, $100 or whatever, whatever that financial gap is, to then be having your own financial aid, but don't have the degree in order to, have those job opportunities with a degree. It just makes so much sense to help students with that last push to graduate.
Really helping them have their own kind of introductory moment, right? As they prepare to graduate and enter the real world. And a lot of them had a great exposure to the real world before they ever got here. And we know that that's a testament to the resiliency of a Salem State student. And thinking about the new and exciting adventure we find ourselves in now, meeting that moment. You had mentioned earlier the 10,000 Reasons campaign, and kind of a testament to the student enrollment at the time. And you yourself had served as a co-chair of that campaign as well. And so I'm wondering, when you were approached about serving as a co-chair for this new campaign, meeting the moment with this ambitious goal of up to $75 million, what was it for you that was that moment where you said, this is something that I want to be involved in again?
Okay. Can I take one step back and share a story about Viking Completion Grants? A year ago, I was at the speaker series with Mr. Ortiz.
Oh yeah, Big Poppy. Okay.
Yes. And after his series, the room was filling, people were leaving, and this woman approached me, and she had a male friend with her and then a young girl. And she came up to me and she said, I heard that you were here and I had to come up and see you. And I said, oh, thank you. And she said, I just want to let you know that I'm a recipient of a Viking Completion Grant. And she said, I'm gonna graduate this spring, and my daughter is gonna watch me graduate. And I just, the tears started flowing. She was crying. I was crying. I hugged her. I said, God bless you. And I thanked her for approaching me. And, her daughter is going to see her graduate. I'm not sure if the gentleman with her was a relative or spouse, but, that person will be there to see her graduate. And it was just, it's moments like that you physically experience somebody else's joy in the act of graduating and realizing all the work that they've put into being able to graduate, and then to have her daughter see her graduate and set that example for her daughter as well. So that was quite the moment. Speaking of meet the moment, I met her moment, and look what she's doing with that moment. She's graduating, her daughter sees her graduate, and she's going to go on to do more things in her life just because of that gesture.
And it's that experience as a student too, right? That you're saying you're part of her moment, but you're also going to be linked forever in her life. And she's going to look back and say, not only, and sometimes we get a student that may receive a scholarship or financial assistance that's named for someone, and they may never get to meet that individual.
Right.
She's going to remember you forever. And that's not always an experience that we get to share with students. So talking about just impact, wow. Right. You're getting over here telling me, I got to meet her, I got to meet a member of the family, her daughter, and they all get to see her graduate. I'm getting choked up while you're talking about it. And it's like, talk about powerful, holy cow.
Yeah. Yes.
So
we always, I often say that not just with Salem State, but we want to set people up to succeed. That's what it's all about, is being able to set others up to succeed and to, create a pathway that makes others successful.
And it's so important to your point, because as you mentioned earlier, getting students in, getting them enrolled, training them effectively, and getting them ready for life after college, knowing that 70 to 80% of them stay here on the North Shore. And
Right in
so
the North Shore.
it's an incredible boom for
Right,
the workforce development,
right,
and making sure that they're again educated effectively and ready for that next step, and
right.
having the ability to meet that student and learn that the impact that you're making is touching somebody directly is so incredible.
Thank you. Getting back to your question about 10,000 reasons, and why I wanted to be part of Meet the Moment. Again, I think it goes back to what I had said about, setting people up for success. And, John has his, or President Keenan has his vision and the areas that he has identified as needs for the campaign. I'm very supportive of. Certainly with Viking Completion Grants, it's, student success and the team at Salem State, including you, are great and are as passionate about the school as I am as an alumni. And I think I think Meet the Moment and 10,000 Reasons were great opportunities for the school to continue to set students up to succeed.
One of the things that that I am always impressed by is that not only are you a two-time campaign co-chair, you're also a member of our foundation board. You're always coming to events. I heard at one point that you've been known to work out at the Gassett every once in a while on a visit to campus as well.
Of course.
Which I love that it's affectionately referred to as the Gassett by the students. So for us it would have just been the gym, but I'm thrilled that will live on forever now. So
Exactly.
understanding that student financial aid and financial assistance is so important to you, and obviously evidenced by the support that you've provided over the last many years. One of the other things that I really love about your commitment to the university, Kim, is that we're in the middle of our 6th annual Viking Warrior Day, and this is also an event that you've supported on an annual basis, and by extension the campaign, sure, but I love that when this day comes around, you're there. And I remember one year we had you on an ice cream truck
I
serving
was
ice cream
giving out
cones.
ice cream.
And what is it about Viking Warrior Day especially that gets you excited about being involved on campus and things?
I think anytime I'm on campus, I really enjoy meeting the students and hearing their stories, and just about what excites them, and hearing about maybe a teacher or a class that they've taken, and what they hope to do once they graduate, and how excited they are to be at Salem State, and how excited they are to then use their degrees to go off and help change the world. I think it's important as an alumni to be able to share my experience with them, and to show them how much Salem State has gotten. And I like to use the quote my son always uses: even better. He always talked about, why do schools get even better after I leave? And his elementary school, they updated the playground the year after he left. It's like, now they have a new playground. And then in middle school, they built a new band room. He was a member of the band. He's a drummer in the band, and they built a new band room. And he's like, and I have never get to use that band room. But the things, the school gets even better. And I think that's so true for Salem State. And as I get back to talking about the transformation, not only with the buildings, but just knowing that the students which Salem State serves, are just like me, as I said, first gen, that I have a lot in common with, the students, hearing their stories and hearing, the jobs that they do while they're going to school and trying to manage school and that balance. And I really enjoy being around the students.
And so I think kind of the last question that we always like to ask, and in your case, exciting because you find yourself in a reunion year this year.
Yes.
So looking back, your time as a student to present day, and you've touched on a little bit of this throughout our conversation, but to ask the question directly, what does being a member of this community mean to you, and why do you, I hope your connection lives on for many, many, many years after the campaign is over, but what does it mean to you to be a member of this community, and why has it been so important for you to stay connected?
Good question. I think I'm probably repeating myself, but I truly believe it is because the students that Salem State serves, as I said earlier, they could be my roommates, they could be my classmates, they could be my friends. We kind of walk the same walk. And I think it's important to be around students to provide support and acknowledgement that they're on the right path, and that good things will come with the degree that they earn, and that we're there to the school's there to meet their moment. There's so many opportunities for students to reach out for help. I also think it's important for students to find ways to deal with the stress and pressure, whether it's going to the Gassett Fitness Center or, just joining a club or something to that effect, something to, relieve the stress, because there is stress and pressure when you're in university, and it might be with school or it might come from home, but to find a way on campus to relieve that. I think just it's important to help set the students up to succeed.
And I think before we started recording, one of the things that we were talking about, kind of unrelated to this, but acknowledging that as individuals on this globe, we have a responsibility to leave things better for the next generation than we ourselves found them. And I think through your actions and support of this university, that you have taken that to the nth degree. And I know as a graduate myself and a member of the Gassett Fitness Center, that I've benefited from your generosity personally, as I know thousands of others have as well. And we know this is just the start of our exciting Meet the Moment campaign, and that you're going to be a member of the family for many, 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 many years to come. Yes. And we're thrilled to have you. And we really appreciate you taking some time to share your story with us today, Kim.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it, and I go Vikings.
Well, better way to end it, right? Go Vikings. This has been another great episode of It Takes a Viking with Meet the Moment campaign co-chair, Dr. Kim Gassett-Schiller. Stay tuned throughout the day for more great content here on social media, online on our website, www.salemstate.edu/VWD. Don't forget to chip in if you're able to and support Salem State on this Viking Warrior Day. And until next time, I'm Mike Mitchell, Associate Director of Alumni Relations at Salem State. Thanks for watching.